Alrighty, fight fans. I'm here with Justin Lozano, aka Just Roll Wrestling, on his Instagram platform. And we're here to talk today about not only his collegiate wrestling career, but also his success that he has had on the circuit of grappling. So, doing the Fight to Win series, and then also most recently competing in the 559 fights. So, Justin, first off, let's just start off with an opener. The holiday season just ended. We just got into a new year. How are you feeling breaking this new year and then just moving into California not too long ago?
Yeah, moving into the new year. So far so good. I mean, nothing really changes. Still doing the same hobbies, same job. Still hanging with the family, making sure my kids are getting their reps in grappling, and same students, to be honest. And adding new students to my little club thing I got going on.
Yeah, no, and that's something that's awesome that you do. You try and help out the community and you offer a free lessons, right? To you or a free first lesson to people to try and get them into grappling and into that realm of things if they've had previous experience, or even for older people, which I found pretty interesting because I know some people is like, oh well, I only do kids, or oh I only do adults, and you're like, hey, I'll help you out as long as you're willing for me to teach you.
Yeah, sure thing. I mean, I've even had like little 4-year-olds across the street, like back in Washington. These two girls, like their mom wanted them to learn like self-defense, and that was cool, you
Yeah,
know.
no.
So yeah, I mean, I don't discriminate.
No, and I'm pretty sure it gets you socially into, wherever you're breaking ground into, because you've traveled a lot in your career. I mean, you've gone from Selma to Menlo to Buffalo, and we're gonna get more into that today in this interview. But you've been all around, so I'm pretty sure with that grappling prowess and with that knowledge, it's helped you to get a little bit of a foot into wherever you're stepping into. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, from whether wrestling or jujitsu, yeah, it's kind of it helps out for sure, making friends and making a little network. And then, I mean, honestly, with jujitsu, it's like all these gyms, they all have like open mats. So before I even joined a gym, I was just like an open mat nomad, just going to like different clubs and different cities, and just popping in and just meeting friends that way. And then I finally decided to join a gym, literally like earlier this year in springtime. But like prior to that, I was always just hopping around and just like getting like open mats going.
yeah, no, did you want to share what gym you train at as of recent? Because you kind of barely had made this transition to California, as I could see kind of on your Instagram. I seen you'd post that you had barely moved here not too long ago, right around the time you'd done the 559 fights, kind of, I think,
Yeah.
around that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, that was December, early like first week of December. We moved from Washington, like Tacoma area, which is like 20 miles south of Seattle. But here in Visalia, yeah, I'm at Visalia Elite with Tom Knox, Professor Tom Knox. Yeah, it's freaking awesome. I really like it. But then, like I said, I hop around to other gyms like drop-ins or open mats. And then in Washington, I was at Logic BJJ under Marcelo Alonso, Carlson Gracie. They're a really good club up there too. So me and my daughter were both up there. And then now at Visalia Elite, it's me, my daughter, and my son.
Yeah, it's a small world. I actually trained with Marion Renault, and her gym is underneath Logic. So it is a very small world indeed. But you started your career in grappling here in the Central Valley, actually, if a lot of people didn't know, because you did mention your time in Washington, but you started wrestling in Selma underneath the bright lights of the Selma wrestling program, kind of in the earlier years of it in 2011. But you contributed a ton to that program and to their name now. So what would you say does being from Selma, California mean to you and to your career? Because I mean, it helped catapult you into having a successful collegiate career.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it all. I mean, yeah. I mean, that whole community, the whole club. I mean, all of us. It's just the culture for all of us to kind of get into this random sport of wrestling at the age of like 4 or 5, 6 years old, and then all of our parents are crazy and want us to travel across the country at the age of like 10, 11, 12 years old. And then we're pretty like battle tested and proven by the time we get to high school. So, and it's just like a rinse and repeat club. So like shout out Team Selma and like, the original to the newest age of the wrestlers. I mean, it's incredible. You got guys right now that are freaking crushing Division One wrestling. Richard Figueroa out of Arizona State, Tristan Lujan out at Michigan State. I mean, I'm sure there's like a million others. I just can't think of them. But yeah, those are like the two big ones I see on Flow Wrestling all the time. And I'm like, man, that is so cool that some of these kids that yeah, whether I was like in the room, maybe not necessarily coaching, but just like being a body there, helping out, or whatever the case is. Yeah, the legacy continues. It's super fun, and it'll be like short enough time before I'm taking my kids over there to go get their butt kicked by the Selma kids. You know?
Yeah, those, I swear, I always tell all my friends, if you're from the Central Valley, those Selma kids, they drink a different type of water. There's always jokes about Hanford water, Selma kids water. It's just something in that makes those kids want to grapple and just want to get into fighting. But it's produced some of the most interesting fighters out of this area. And as you stated, I mean, even like people that are grown adults will come to train at that Selma gym because there's so much talent. As you stated, Figueroa, he's one of the most prominent wrestlers in the whole entire country right now. But to go into what you did at Selma, you had a very successful career. I believe you were a finalist for the not for the NCAA, for the high school championship for your weight class, and then you ended up having a decision between Cal Poly and Buffalo. And it's funny enough that I go to Cal Poly, and I seen that you chose away from Cal Poly and you chose to go to Buffalo. But what helped you go into that decision? Which honestly, no harm, no foul. I completely amend you for getting that opportunity to get to go out there to New York.
Yeah. No, I mean, looking back on it, right? Like you always like look at things and wish you could do things different. I don't know, but then again, like you wouldn't be in the position you are in today. So I mean, I'm totally cool with the way everything went. But yeah, I never got into Cal Poly. So like I signed my letter of intent,
Oh,
SAT scores, not the business. So yeah, and then there was like like rather than like I probably could have, should have, would have taken the SAT a few more times to try to get in, but their head coach Mark Perry had just left to University of Illinois. And yeah, just the idea of maybe like programs getting dropped. I was getting a lot of like encouragement from outside like coaches, like, oh, you should get out. You have an opportunity to get out of the state. You should do it. And went to University at Buffalo. Yeah, and went ahead and did that.
yeah, no. And then from your career there, you were a starter on that team, which was and your time over there in Buffalo, what would you say besides for wings and snow? You know, because I mean, Buffalo is a pretty interesting spot. What would you say? How was your time over there in Buffalo, and how did New York treat you?
Yeah, Buffalo was cool. I met a lot of really good friends, like best friends. You know, guys that I talk to till today, like really great people. Might have had a little too much fun in college over there, joked around a little bit too much with some of those guys, and didn't live up to like my absolute potential. Right, like I had a few good wins, like over some Big Ten guys and Big 12 guys, but yeah, essentially I end up moving over to Menlo, which is a smaller business school, NAIA over in like Bay Area, California, and
Yes.
yeah, had a good time there as well. I won some good tournaments and had some good matches. Also, probably didn't live up to my potential, but nonetheless, like I said, it kind of, you know, the way some things work out ended up putting me where I'm at today, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I feel like a lot of people would love to argue with you there. I mean, you're a national qualifier for the Menlo team, to my knowledge, and then you were also a starter for that team. So for the realms of collegiate wrestling, I would say that you had a pretty successful career. You know, even though things may have not gone exactly to what you have wanted to plan, you know, you've definitely done a lot with what you were given. It from a kid just coming from Selma all the way going to Buffalo and then Menlo. I would say that's pretty successful. I would say you did a great job, man. But
Appreciate that, dude.
after your time in Menlo, you went just 45 minutes down the road, I believe, to SFSU, to San Francisco State, and you were helping to coach the wrestling team. So how would you say that this assistant wrestling position, how do you feel that it's helped to elevate your coaching prowess now? Because I mean, now that you're doing it solo, do you feel that you being on the assistant to a collegiate team, has it like, did it help you to better your knowledge in the sport?
Yeah, absolutely. Just being around like great coaches. Shout out Isaiah Jimenez. He's who brought me on. He was the head assistant over at San Francisco State, and yeah, we got to coach some pretty cool athletes. Some kids that are like, again, still my friend today. Because I was only like 23 years old, like fresh out of college, working my corporate 9 to 5, or not even. I would go in at like 6:30 a.m., get out around like 2:30, so I can make it to practice at like whatever time it was, 3:30 or so in San Francisco. And because I was commuting from living in San Francisco, but working down in Menlo Park, which was
A
like
common commute.
40. Yeah. But what else? What else? Yeah. Yeah, just being around great people, and then also, still keeping in contact with some of my buddies from Buffalo, from Menlo, who all coach at different colleges today, like till this day. So I'm always like, hey, when I'm doing this shot, is this what you're teaching the starters, like some of the really great kids that are wrestling right now? And yeah, we're always just like sharing techniques, making sure we're like on top of our game. And yeah, even like some of the kids I used to coach in high school that are over wrestling Division 1, like one of my kids, Tyler Avila, he's at Cal Poly, and he came by last week, and we're just like sharing techniques. Like, hey, this is all right. This is still the stuff. This is still good, right? I'm not that old, as I wrestled in 2016. This is still the
This
business
is
of technique that works, correct? And he's like, oh, absolutely. This is what we're all doing. I'm like, all right, perfect. Because sometimes here's the issue. Here's the issue, Michael. You get these old dinosaurs that might have wrestled like in the 80s, and dude, the wrestling, it's just evolving day by day. And same with jujitsu. I mean, the
yeah.
sport's everlasting and evolving. It's so you got to you got to find out in the know what's happening. You got to talk, and you got to make sure you're surrounding yourselves with the people that are like
The
doing
top
it.
of the game. Yeah.
And right
No.
now at Elite, I just got my ass kicked by this 20-year-old kid, Jacob Cisneros, who's their family is like, Selma royalty, grappling wrestling. Alex Cisneros, Joe Cisneros, Chris, all those guys are monsters. And he's world IBJJF, world champion.
Yeah,
And
world champion.
yeah, just getting my butt kicked by them at 4 p.m. this afternoon.
And
but
you're like, just got back from that. Nice little
but
time.
I got to do it so I can learn like from the best, like learn these techniques, learn,
Yeah.
with that mindset. So
No, and that's definitely an interesting way to look at it, because I feel a lot of other sports take this mindset as well, of like football and baseball. That like, and I talked to Isaac Johnson in another interview as well, when he talked about film, like watching over his film and seeing, okay, maybe this take works, or this like takedown will work better for me in this position. And so it's interesting that you guys take these angles that a lot of athletes, I feel like, oh, they don't see it in the fight game. They just think that, oh, you guys just go out there and grapple, or oh, you just go out there and throw your hands, and it's really not that. It's so much more calculated, and there's so much more steps to it. But to go into your platform, into the just roll wrestling, I'm getting that name right, correct,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just wrestling.
And so you started that in 2021, I believe, right? Or was it in 2020?
Yeah, 2021 officially. I mean, prior to that, like after I was coaching at San Francisco State, that was 17. I kind of randomly was doing privates outs, like private training, like people paying for me to teach them some wrestling. But I would drive like 30 minutes away, and then I'm like training there for an hour, and then I'm driving 30 minutes back. 2 hours away from the kids, from the family. So I that's when I decided, saved up some dollars, and I was like, all right, let me just buy some mats. And yeah, so that was September of 2021, I think. And it's funny, like I said, I was late. I was like a minute late to this because I was on a virtual call with my first ever grappler that decided to sign up with me. So I literally still talk,
You're
I
still
tried to.
teaching those
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
And same guy. He was my first kid to come through in that fall of 2021.
No, and that's absolutely amazing, that, and it shows that you're great as a teacher as well, that people are choosing to still stick around, and they're still gaining knowledge from you as a professor. And I mean, what is there to say about your career? Speaks for itself, man. I mean, you've had your even your even your grappling career outside of collegiate wrestling. I was just talking earlier about your 559 fights fight, your 559 fights grappling match, and that was an extremely great case of grappling, you know. And I was telling people that were sitting alongside me, I'm like, this guy used to wrestle collegiately, and they're like, oh yeah, really? I'm like, yep. I'm like, this guy used to wrestle like, and a lot of people didn't really like know like, oh yeah, like what's gonna happen, but I kind of I had a feeling, you know. I've watched a couple of your watched a couple of your matches, but on I go, just kind of go on about you coming back to the valley. Do you feel that you coming back to the valley has kind of awoken your competitive spirit in a sense, because you're starting to compete a little bit more in these events and such, and you are now competing with the team at elite? So do you feel like this is going to kind of reawaken that competitive spirit in you, and maybe you're gonna start seeing yourself compete in some more tournaments and some more hopefully 559 fights, so I can get to watch Justin Lozano on the mats?
Yeah, it's so funny you say that. It's like yes and no, right? Like I'm like, I'm an old man. I got kids. Like I'm definitely they're my main focus, right? Like whether it's jujitsu, school, sports, basketball. Like my daughter's doing basketball next week, and whatever they're doing, like they're my main focus. And it just so happens that the gym, like I said, Visalia Elite, they're a crazy competitive gym. So I think just it's not like I really want to be competing all the time, but man, when I'm with some of these guys and I'm doing all right, I'm like, yeah, I guess I should keep doing. I really enjoy this. It's a toss up, right? Is it really like burning something inside me? Nah, not really. I just really freaking enjoy this stuff, man. I'll be doing it till I'm like 100 years old, and I'll still be competing because it's just hella fun for me. And
Yeah.
like I said, I just happen to be at like this insanely competitive gym that I love the people there. Like I said, it's I people that were coaching me back when I was in like elementary and middle school. They're helping coach my daughter. It's crazy. Cisneros specifically, that family.
Yeah, no, and that's absolutely it's almost like every parent's dream. I feel like, oh yeah, I want my kid to come back and for this coach to still be coaching, or for this teacher to still be teaching here.
Right,
And
right.
you're getting that, you know, and you're getting that to carry on to your daughter, and to go on to your to speak about your family a little bit more. You know, you have a young daughter, and you have your family, and would you say that that was a big reason for wanting to come back to the valley, and for wanting to make that return back to, well, not making the return back to Selma, but making the return back to Visalia?
Yeah, yeah. Family was the big piece. Grandparents being 20, 20, 30 miles within range from grandchildren. Yeah, that was absolutely the number one reason why we decided to caravan back.
Yeah, no, and we're happy to have you here, and I'm pretty sure Elite Team they're happy to have you, as well as some great competition. And in case if any of you fight fans are looking to get into some grappling lessons or to learn anything, hit up Justin Lozano. He will be more than happy to go ahead and teach you a couple of things, or go ahead and follow him on his Instagram. I'm gonna go ahead and tag him in this interview, Just Roll Wrestling. He does a lot of awesome stuff, shows a lot of awesome techniques, shows a lot of awesome takes that you probably wouldn't get from a lot of other minds. So Justin, I just really wanted to thank you for your time here today and for everything. And just one last question here that we want to leave with fight fans. You know, oftentimes we were talking today a lot about your grappling and about your career in wrestling, but we know that you like to have passions outside of that, you know. So is there anything that maybe fight fans wouldn't know about you that you would like to share, and that, you know, you would feel like, oh yeah, that's a pretty interesting thing?
Shoot, I know it's funny. I have friends that like aren't into like jujitsu and wrestling, and they're just like, dude, don't you do anything outside of that? Like, what do you like to do for fun? God, okay, here's a silly one. It's. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of dads that could probably relate, but I haven't played. Like I used to play video games, and growing up, and then in college, just with some of my roommates, friends, and teammates and whatnot. And I really haven't since having kids, and I'm excited for when my son gets a little older and I can
Yeah.
finally get the new PlayStation and we can game for a few hours. Like that'll be like super fun. memories, I think. And so that's something I'm like pumped about. But
Yeah,
yeah.
what was your game of choice? Were you a Madden guy,
I
or were
like
you like a
COD, man. Call of Duty was super fun. And then I got into Fortnite a little bit when my daughter was born on my phone. And it was an addiction. I was like, all right, I got to get off of this. But that was
Yeah,
cool.
no, those games are dangerous, man. Those first person shooters, because you just like
Slippery,
keep
huh?
on you it's like fighting to win. You really are just continuously.
Oh,
I would compare it to grappling in a sense, because you're just continuously you're fighting for your life, you know what I'm saying? You're trying your best, like, all right,
it's
what
fun.
situation? You know,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a whole lot of fun, and I'm pretty sure your son's gonna have a whole lot of fun when he gets that age and he gets to game with his dad. But I just want to thank you so much for your time again, Justin Lozano. And then, did you maybe have another grappling match or anything that you wanted to shout out in the future?
Nothing. I mean, I'm open. 559 fights. There's one Valley Fight Series. Whenever Fight to Win comes in town, that'd be cool. Yeah, any and all. I definitely enjoy the one match. The fight nights. Tournaments are cool, but I
Yeah.
gotta figure out my gas tank a little better on those.
Yeah,
The
those
tournaments,
matches definitely take the toll on
dude.
your body as well. So
After a few, I'm like, oh my gosh.
I
But
could see where you wouldn't want to be competing in a tournament, especially, you're probably a little tired after all those years of wrestling and college and all that. You don't want
no,
to
I
be.
mean, I'm gonna do them though. I'm still, I got to get my daughter signed up for one, and whatever one she's doing, that I'll make sure I'm signed up for that one.
There we
Something like
go.
that.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure fight fans will be very excited when the next time you decide to do a 559 fights or a Valley Fight series, or whenever they get the chance to see you on the mats. Make sure to go ahead and head to his Instagram page at Just Roll Wrestling. He has a lot of great, interesting takes on wrestling as well as grappling, just in general. A lot of interesting advice. So I would go ahead and give him a follow. Thank you so much for watching today, fight fans, and that is all from us. Thank you.